Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel for Catch. My name is Sam and I'm the founder and lead coach here at Catch. Unshakable confidence is the key to getting everything that you want in life and dating. So on this channel we talk about everything to do with confidence, mindset and how to utilise that in all areas of life, but with a particular focus on dating and relationships. In this video we're going to be covering a couple of topics that have come through subscriber questions or requests for videos, and thank you to Andreas, who is one of our subscribers, who wrote in and was keen to know a bit more about or had a challenge around approaching and how to feel confident when approaching somebody that they're interested in. And we've also had comments from other subscribers or viewers on the channel who have said that they feel more anxiety or more nervousness around approaching someone in public, particularly women, since the MeToo movement. And so we thought it would be helpful to cover these things together, because if we can help people understand the MeToo movement and what it's about, plus give some confident mindsets and strategies for approaching, that will help people to initiate more from all angles and all perspectives on this. So the MeToo movement has been around for a long time, but it gained traction in 2017 after several people came out and spoke about their experiences with Harvey Weinstein, who I'm sure most of you watching this channel will be aware was someone in the movie and TV industry. And what a lot of those people were talking about was how Harvey Weinstein used his power and influence and his position within the media industry to put pressure onto models and up-and-coming actresses to exchange roles for sexual favours, which is called coercing someone into providing consent, which isn't really giving consent. It's putting pressure on them or coercing them or threatening them with impacts at other areas of their life if they didn't do what he said. Other people also came out and talked about their experiences where he had invited them to secluded areas or private places such as hotel rooms, and then used that opportunity of them feeling vulnerable and using his size and his strength to overpower them and therefore assault them in various ways. And because of that, many other assault survivors came out and then used the hashtag or the phrase MeToo, as in I also experienced assault. And it was a way for people to talk about their experiences and shed light on the fact that assault is not just something that happens in dark alleys when you're drunk, but it can be through pressure or persistence or someone feeling threatened in a way that isn't just physical. It might be their career or other areas of their life, or just feeling coerced into it because of other aspects in the environment. Therefore, when we think about the MeToo movement, what we're really talking about is boundaries and consent. So understanding that if somebody tells you no or expresses a boundary, that you absolutely have to adhere to that boundary, and that putting any kind of pressure or using your power, whether physical or emotional or work related in the Harvey Weinstein case, to try and get what you want is not getting full consent. But what it means is that we have to take these principles of being respectful of people's boundaries and not applying any pressure and taking a no for a no, even or anything that's not an enthusiastic yes. We have to take as a no and respect that in people. So that's really important things to know about the MeToo movement, and therefore what do we need to learn from that we can then take into how we approach people. So we'll park that for a moment, and we're now going to talk about confident approach mindset. So how you can build your confidence generally and in approaching people that you're interested in. And then we're going to think about some specific tools, techniques, strategies for approaching people. So, what are some mindsets that you can utilize to build your confidence generally and particularly in approaching? The first one, which we've talked about in other videos, is assuming they like you already. And on other videos, people have commented saying, questioning this, because it doesn't seem logical to some people to assume that someone likes you when you've had no interaction with them. But that's what confidence is. Confidence is having belief in yourself in a particular area of life or in general, without having that external validation, or before you get that external validation. So you may have seen a job opportunity and looked at the experience needed and thought, that job is perfect for me because I have that experience and I'm going to get that job. You haven't got the job yet, but you know that you're perfect for it. You know that you're good enough for it, you can add a lot of value, and that your experience is suitable. And the same with, you might meet someone and just know that you're going to click, or you might see a cafe or a bar and just know that it's the kind of place that you're going to fit in. So it's about knowing something and believing something, and therefore having that self-belief before you necessarily see evidence. And when we're applying that to dating or approaching somebody, it's about knowing what you bring to the table, knowing the great qualities that you have and believing in those, whether that's your kindness or your grace, or that you're attractive, or that you're caring or funny, light-hearted, well-travelled, whatever it might be that you bring to a relationship, whether that's a friendship or romantic. And being confident enough in that you know you have something to offer, you know that you're valuable, and therefore it's logical to assume someone likes you because of all of those things that you bring, whether or not they know you yet. And it's a useful question to ask yourself, why wouldn't they like me? Because by asking that question, it can reveal where there may be gaps in your confidence and self-belief that you need to work on. Because when you feel really confident in what you bring to the table, it seems inevitable that someone will like you and that you'll get that result. So the first confident mindset in terms of approaching is assume that they will like you already. Ask yourself, why wouldn't they? And then work on those areas of confidence. We also want to normalize the situation, because I think for some people who struggle with approaching, it's because they haven't got a lot of experience, or perhaps they've been rejected in the past or afraid of being rejected. So what we want to do is normalize having a positive reaction and getting the response that we want, or even if there's perceived rejection, that we don't let it impact us personally, or we don't take it to heart. And ways that we can do that is to start to visualize approaching people in different scenarios, what we would say, what we would do, how you would carry yourself, how you would hold yourself, and imagining that other person responding positively to you, engaging in the conversation, having a good time, it feeling natural, and then going from there to swap numbers and to agreeing a date, or expressing an interest, and that then moving forward positively. And we did another video where we deep dive into how confidence is normalizing an experience. So if you haven't had good experiences in the past with approaching, or you haven't had much experience, continually visualizing or writing down imaginary scenes where it is starting to go well will start to rewire your brain and start telling your brain that is what you usually experience, and therefore what to expect. And because you're expecting a positive outcome, you feel confident and you're more likely to get the positive outcome. So it becomes a self-fulfilling positive prophecy. And we'll link that video where we deep dive into normalizing an experience as part of confidence below. So that's another way that you can build your confidence around approaching. The third is, as well as becoming confident in what you bring to the table enough to know that someone will like you, is to deliberately build your confidence in your uniqueness and what's different about you that you bring to the table. Because we all have little quirks, little unique things, maybe our style, how we talk, how we carry ourselves, our sense of humour. And what's so attractive is when someone is just who they are and they know who they are and they feel worthy within themselves. So spend some time thinking about what are you, not what only do you bring to the table for others, but what are you really proud of within yourself? What characteristics are you proud of? What achievements are you proud of? And who are you? And that's going to change over time, so you don't need to figure it out completely, but what is that best version of you that's most comfortable in who you are around your best friends or the people that accept you the most and make you feel the most confident? Because that's the version of you that we want to start showing up in all areas of life, and we want to bring to the table when we're meeting someone new or approaching them. Because even if someone's not into the same things as you or shares the same hobbies, it is a magnetic energy. When you know who you are, you're confident in that, and you don't need someone's validation, and you have passion for things. So really think about what those things are that make you unique and different. Spend some time building your confidence in those, and think about how you can bring that into how you approach people, what topics you talk about, what questions you decide to ask when you're initiating. Because then not only is that passion and that confidence in yourself going to shine through, which is attractive, but you can start to figure out how compatible you are with this other person because you're showing your true self to them in a safe way early on. And the final mindset that we want to keep in mind before we go into approach strategies is don't be too attached to the outcome. So we talked in other videos about how confidence is having a level of self-belief and becoming internally validated and having that self-belief without needing the external validation. And when you do things because they make you feel good about yourself, because you're confident in them, because you know you're going to get the result that you want eventually, that is when you start to see the world around you shift. Like entrepreneurs who perhaps put years into a business before they see any results, or they have lots of ups and downs and challenges along the way. Lots of entrepreneurs look for funding and they get turned down by maybe 15, 20 different investors before they find someone who's happy to invest. Did they give up at the first, second, third, fourth hurdle? No. They were so clear on what they were going to achieve, the direction they were going in, that it didn't matter what challenges came up. They continued to believe in that outcome. And this is the same in relationships, is they're not attached to getting the outcome straight away, or they don't want to force and manipulate it or pressure people into it, as we talked about with MeToo. It's more about knowing that that outcome is yours, and even if there's challenges, you roll with the punches, carry on going with the flow, but know that it's going to work out in your favour in the end. And if you're not too attached to that outcome and you know you're going to get it eventually, it means that even if there's perceived rejection in the moment from approaching somebody, it doesn't impact your self-worth or your confidence, because you're internally validated rather than externally validated. And it takes the pressure off, so you can just go into a conversation to enjoy it and to see where it goes and see if there's a connection, rather than if you're really attached to the outcome or worried about rejection because it would hit your ego or your confidence. You'll go into it really wanting to get the yes, but it's not about you and that other person developing a connection. You want the yes for your own ego and your own validation. And not only is that a repelling energy, the other person can sense that you're looking for their validation, but it puts pressure, energetic pressure on the other person. And it means that even if you get an initial no, you're more likely to push and cross some of those boundaries and those lines that we talked about earlier when we referred to MeToo. So what's important, as I say, is to remember that you're self-validated, remember that you're good enough regardless of the outcome of the approach, that it isn't personal. They may be taken, or they may not be interested in this exact moment, but that may change later. So know that you're going to get what you want in the end, but without having to apply any pressure. And it's so interesting because we work with clients who have this experience. They might have a friend that they want to turn into more than a friend, for example. And they might tell them at the start, oh, I really want to make this more than friends. And they're rejected in that moment. But they carry on with their lives. They're still confident. They're still feeling good. They're pursuing other options. And all of a sudden that person comes back and says, actually, I've changed my mind. I've thought about it. I would like to pursue something. So it's about having the confidence that you're going to get what you want without necessarily needing the validation in that moment. And someone who's really excellent at this, if you see any of their interactions on the red carpet or with other celebrities, is Jack Harlow. He's a very playful man, he's very fun, he's very silly, and he'll talk to women on the red carpet that he's attracted to, and he'll literally say, I love you, with a smile, expect nothing back in that moment apart from planting a seed of interest, and then walk off. And it doesn't matter if they react well or not in that moment. He's confident enough to express himself, and it's more about him showing that he's interested than it is about the reaction and the validation. And you can see how women respond to him and the level of confidence that he has. And at one point he even brought out a whole song called Dua Lipa, which was a song about how he wanted to date Dua Lipa, and she was in a relationship at the time. But a year later, she was single again, and all of these rumours were swirling that Jack Harlow and Dua Lipa were dating. But that just shows, take your chances, shoot your shot, and believe that it's going to happen for you at one point or another. And there are so many instances where we've seen, and in the public eye, where that's happened. One thing that I think it's helpful to also address here as a bit of a caveat is, we have seen some discourse online about people not wanting to be approached at all, particularly women, since the MeToo movement. And therefore some men saying, well, I don't want to approach women at all in public, I'm just going to use dating apps or online because of this nervousness around MeToo. And I understand that can be frustrating for people to feel like they can't approach in person, or that there's barriers in the way. There are still many women who want to be approached in person, and it's much easier to develop a connection and good communication from meeting in person. And it's hard to know which of those people want or do not want to be approached in a moment. However, just to build a bit of empathy for both sides of this, many women are approached once a day, several times a day, between being in person and online. And therefore, I think there are a subset of women who find that quite tiring and want to just be able to go about their day and run errands without being interrupted. So when we think about confident approach mindsets and then strategies and techniques that can be utilized, what's important is to take that no, or if someone is interested in entertaining a conversation, be respectful of that and walk away. To be respectful of the fact that they're just getting on with their day. And there are some women that we've seen online who say that they want to be chased. So I might say no in the first instance, but I want you to keep persisting and making effort for me. And therefore I understand that some men are confused. They go, look, some people want me to approach, some people don't. Some people, when they say no, they mean it. Some people, they want me to chase. And that can be frustrating and confusing. But what we all need to think about is, what are healthy dating behaviours that are going to make the dating process better for everyone? And if you're someone sat there saying, right, I'm going to say no the first time because I want to see if someone chases me, that is promoting unhealthy dating behaviours where you are expecting someone to ignore and disrespect your no and not take it seriously. So you're effectively encouraging people to push and put pressure on and chase you and pursue you in a way that's crossing boundaries that you've articulated, which is what contributes to this culture that resulted in the MeToo movement in the first place. So if you are someone who says no and you want it's a test, stop that immediately, because you're contributing to this toxic dating culture that means that people don't take no's seriously, which cannot happen anymore. And if you're someone who hears a no, but because you've seen people or women online saying that they want you to chase, I would also advise you to take that no at face value. Because even if that person doesn't mean it, if you continue to chase after they've said no, you're showing the same unhealthy dating behaviours, that you don't respect boundaries, and you're also telling that other person that they can reject you as a manipulation tactic and that that's okay. So we need to think about the bigger picture and not just trying to get what we want in the immediate term through some of these unhealthy behaviours, but creating a much more healthy, honest, respectful dating environment for everyone. And that's what's going to make dating more enjoyable, whereas a lot of people find modern dating difficult because of these games that we're playing. So we all have a responsibility to stop that, every single one of us. Okay, so with those mindsets in mind, what are some strategies or techniques that you can use to approach it in the moment? Well, what we have to think about is what would be attractive to you. What is attractive when meeting someone new or interacting with someone new is something that's natural, fun, playful and light-hearted, and also is confident enough to show interest. So there's a couple of ways that you can approach it. The first is getting straight to the point. So being confident enough to approach someone quickly, so without staring for too long, which can look creepy or make people uneasy. Once you see someone you're interested in, approach quite quickly and just be confident to be direct and say, you're really handsome, you're gorgeous, you're cute, I would love to get to know you better, can I get your number? And then taking whatever they say at face value, as we said. Secondly is going in with a question or an opinion which gets the conversation going in a fun and playful way. So perhaps you and your friends, if you're out, are debating something. Perhaps you need help taking a picture, so you can ask someone to take a picture for you. That breaks the ice and gets the conversation flowing naturally, just like with any other person who you would come across in a bar or a restaurant or a cafe and get chatting to. So think about some ways that you could get conversation going, and particularly with topics that you're interested in, so that you can show that unique, quirky side of you and see if you've got anything in common and see how they react to that, because that's going to help you figure out who you are more likely to connect with. To think about is the environment that you're in, and try and analyse and understand body language. So if people are in a group and they're very tight in a circle and there's not lots of room to get between them, that's going to be difficult to break into the conversation and it to be natural and flowing and low pressure. Whereas if you're in a bar or a cafe and someone you're interested in goes to the bar with, say, just one other friend or by themselves, that's a much easier time to go up and order at the same time as them, try and stand next to them, and then make a comment about something that's going on in the bar, something that's going on with you and your friends, or ask what they're ordering to drink. So try and think about, in the context that you're in, where are some natural ways that you can start a conversation, again, to take the pressure off and make it a bit more fun and light-hearted, and then go from there. And also, if there's a group that are more open, so there's more space between them, or there's two friends who are facing outwards towards the bar or a dance floor rather than facing each other, though that is body language that says that they're more open to people approaching them. So try to look at natural openings, and then when you're speaking to someone, try and pick up whether they're interested in the conversation. Are they facing you? Are they making eye contact with you? Are they looking between your eyes and your lips? Because that is a small body language cue that they're interested. Do they look like they're interested? Like if it was a friend or someone else, would you think that they are invested in the conversation? Or do they look like they're distracted and trying to make eye contact with some of their other friends? These are all things to start picking up on, because you don't want to overstay your welcome. So if it looks like someone is very invested, then great, keep chatting to them, but try and quite quickly move to the number or how to get in touch with them afterwards. or see if they're interested in merging your groups for the rest of the activity, whatever you're doing at that time. Or if they look distracted, then have enough confidence and self-respect to say, look, it's been great chatting to you, would love to get your number, but I've got to get back to my friends. So try and keep the conversation fun, playful, natural, but also get to the point and then move on with your evening. Because sometimes we can get so excited, even if they do show interest, we carry on talking to them. It's hard for them and their friends, us and our friends, to carry on speaking, and the conversation can wind down because you run out of things to say or people get distracted. So it's better to get the conversation going, have as much fun as possible, quickly ask for the number or the Instagram, and then move on with your day or your evening. If of interest, we did a video recently that was me sharing my personal approach for how I approach people or show interest. My approach is very direct because that's what feels authentic to me. So as we're talking about these different confident approach strategies and techniques, think about what resonates with you, what feels most natural for you, and also what the most confident version of you would do. So as we say, if it was a friend or someone you knew or someone who you knew liked you, would you be more direct, or would you be more playful, or would you wait for an opening, more natural opening? Like, what would you do? Because if you can also figure out what feels more natural and authentic to you, that's going to help you feel confident as well. So I'll link below that recent video on what I do of these strategies, which is more direct approach. So I hope that helped, gave you a few bits of food for thought in terms of what we really mean by the MeToo movement, how that links to approaching, how to build your confidence in approaching, and then some specific strategies or techniques in the moment. Would love to hear below what approach strategies have worked for you. Are there any tips and tricks that you can give others in our community? Are there any reactions or questions that you have to what we talked about in this video that you would like us to cover? We also have a competition running where we're trying to build a movement around confidence, and it's free to enter, so all the details for that are in the description box below. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.